thank my mom, thank my dog.
Did you watch any of the Emmys or like see any of the clips from the Emmys?
I've only seen one, and it's Bob Odenkirk losing for like 6 years in a row.
The one that I saw was John Oliver accepted his Emmy, and I guess the caveat was whoever was hosting, like instead of having the orchestra play
Mhm.
you off, their mom or his mom was there to like tell like, hey, wrap it up. She's like some like 60, 70-year-old lady, and it was just like, hey, time to go. And John Oliver's like, my speech actually went short, so I'm gonna start listing off every single Arsenal football player so I can fill time because I want his mom to tell me no. And he gets like halfway, or he gets like three or four players in, and she's like, hey, wrap it up. He's like, I'd like to thank Jesus Christ and my family. See you later. And then it was so good. I was like, oh my God, John Oliver, you understand comedy better than the rest of us. You really do.
100%. Dude, the Odenkirk one had me laughing. Um, who was it? Uh, what's his name? The blonde dude looks good in every movie. Ah,
I don't know.
crap, dude. What is going? Ryan Gosling. Why
Oh,
did that
yeah.
escape me,
Yeah.
dude? But
Is
when
he
he,
blonde? No, he's brown hair, isn't he?
I
He was
thought he
just
was
blonde for
blonde. I
Barbie.
don't know. Okay, well, I don't know. Let me look at him. Yeah, it's probably brown. I don't know, dude. He looks mixed. What is it?
Yeah, yeah, like
Like the highlights
highlights. Yeah.
hair. Yeah. It looks like that. It is probably brown. Yeah, in the Emmys it looks brown. But he had like watching him laugh when the I'm just Ken thing won. And then like the idea of him sitting there laughing because he's probably like, dude, I did this movie that's all about women and like why women should be
And
accepted
he
in the
became
world
one of the
better.
main focal points.
Yeah. And he just gets memed into winning this.
Oh, it was so good. Like,
So funny.
I can't believe he won. At the same time, I'm not surprised because like it became like a cultural thing
Yep.
that really did take over. But I don't know.
Also, the person who commented, "How dare he not have a dig?" Dig to toss in consideration is so funny.
Why?
I just thought it was hilarious. And putting "How dare he not have a dig?" Like, I think that's hilarious. The only I want to be clear though for them, it's them and Immortals. They weren't in consideration not because like what people would think, right? That they're bad or something. It's really just because I watched TSM play them a lot back in the day before they left, and it was just kind of one of those like, yeah, I know what you guys were at your peaks, and I know what you are now. Like, there's some bad blood there still. You know what I mean? They're
That
not,
that's fair.
yeah,
That's very fair.
especially Immortals. I mean,
Oh yeah.
goodness, they were taking like they were so hyped up, and they were honestly insanely good back in the day. Like,
And now they're not.
oh yeah, okay, yeah. I was trying to be nice to
I'm not. Screw it. We're into the part of the season where like my bias starts coming out and I stop caring about everything else. Like it's just like push
True.
everything I can.
True.
So to give this a formal introduction, welcome everybody to episode 109 of the Crossover Podcast. Uh, my name's David. I'm a 100 Thieves fan. This is Paul. We don't know who he's a fan of yet, but we will
I
soon.
don't even know.
There's no way you don't know by now.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I have
Uh,
a graphic made.
oh, you have a graphic made.
No, no, I'm way
Oh, I was
oversold
about to
what
say
I
if
have made.
you have one made, that's great. I can like I'm gonna blow it the fuck
No,
up.
no. I mean, I have something made. It's definitely not a good graphic.
I mean, hey, we take it. That's still more than most fans would probably give in this moment.
Yeah, yeah,
But to give you guys a
that is
layout
true.
of how the episode's gonna go, we have a big announcement for Paul to make here. And then we are going to go through the power rankings that we have for the entire season for each individual role. And then we will go over our teams and then go over week one predictions for the league this weekend. Because finally, LCS is back. It feels like it's taken forever, but it's back. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I mean, that is facts. Like it's been a long off season,
Oh, dude.
especially when you're trying to like find a home and you're kind of hoping that your old team actually puts a team out there, and then does it. That makes it really sad, which
Yep.
because you had that time as an Optic fan where you were like, dang, maybe they'll go somewhere else, and then it just never happens, and you're just constantly sitting there.
Bro,
So
my jersey sat in my closet, and like I didn't know what to do with them.
yeah.
I thought about donating them for a hot minute there. I was so depressed.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, I'm gonna need these at some point. Don't get rid of them. And I'm really glad I didn't, thank God. But
Yeah.
like that was a rough period of time. So to give people some context, I mentioned it on the tweet, but I will reiterate it here. Paul, as you know, is a DSM fan. I will let him speak to his decision itself, but as for a little bit of background, we are both some diehard sports fans.
Yes.
I think you've been a Pacers fan and Colts fan all of your life. I don't think it's ever changed.
Pacers, Colts, and the Carolina Tar Heels, and I do enjoy Georgia football greatly.
Is there any team that you've ever changed on? Like, is there ever a time in any other sport where you've had to change teams?
No, like really, it's just I wasn't a huge Georgia football fan. I'll not lie, but my dad is a massive fan, so it slowly dragged me in high school. Granted, like I felt kind of bad because as I was slowly getting drug in, like it was when Kirby Smart kind of got there, and I missed a lot of the grind that a lot of people lived through. So I think that's the most fair weather you could say I've ever come close to being. Now, granted, I was a fan for like 5 years before they actually won anything, but
Yeah.
that's probably the closest to fair weather I've been. And then when the Pacers like talked about leaving Indiana, but they never did, so it doesn't even matter.
Are they fully committed? Like, gonna stay there forever now, or is it still
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It was just when the Malice at the Palace was happening, and there was that
okay.
downturn where they were almost not making money because they were solely getting it from TV deals and no one was going to games. Like, it was a bad time to be a Pacer fan. But
Sounds like a lot of problems that we'll get into with the LCK later.
yeah. I mean, if it weren't for revenue sharing, I probably wouldn't have an NBA team. So,
That I
for
mean,
some people,
if there wasn't a revenue share, I probably wouldn't have an LCS team either. So
yeah,
we
yeah,
count our
okay.
blessings where
Well,
they happen.
yeah. Sometimes the giant hand of money in the sky comes down and blesses you.
Yep. And then you can just sit there and coast on your laurels and be like, yeah, you know what? I'm fine for a bit. I'm
Yeah.
good.
That billionaire did need help. Dang it. He needed it.
He needed the handout.
Yeah.
They would
You
fight
all
for
leave
him
him
normally.
alone.
Yeah, they would fight for him
Yeah.
normally. Obviously.
Yeah.
What's the phrase? It is for me and not for thee, or something
Yeah,
like that.
something
I
like
don't know.
that.
All right,
Yeah.
no more beating around the bush. Give us the
Okay.
rundown. I'm ready for this.
Well, as we know, and you very aptly described, the players on 100 Thieves, it is tough. I will say this 100 Thieves has like a future that could really take over, and it's worrying me. It does worry me. It weighed on my heart heavy. I talked with Jack a long time. NRG has probably one of like the more win now rosters, like their roster could be done in a couple of years. So that part of it was kind of tough. Do you take win now or do you wait and have your time in the sun later? Like, what do you do? It was a long decision, but let me get out my scotch tape. Give me a second here. All right, let me put this together. But I have decided to become and rebrand to an NRG fan and cover the logo. Let me cover it a bit better. There you go.
Oh, how much did Andy Miller subtweeting the promo for this and Jamie? How much did that actually affect it?
It did. It was actually a quote from my brother. So I called him and I was talking to him because when I talked to you a couple days ago, I was pretty dead set that I was actually kind of becoming a 100 Thieves fan,
Yeah.
like listening to some of the interviews, buying in. And then my brother said, do you want a team that will spend the money to win like TSM would, or do you want a team that right now is just in the league? And I mean that as kindly as I can
That's
to your
fair.
team.
That's fair.
And when he said that, I was like, wouldn't it be very TSM of me to do that? And I know there's going to be a lot of people out there, and I'm ready for you to say, hey, he jumped on the bandwagon. He joined NRG. Well, my team left, and my team's now champions. So you can suck it. You can get better. You can play better. I don't know what you want from me. I'm going to be the same fan of NRG I've been to TSM. And them moving to white jerseys did help a lot. Because I had a black jersey I was going to pull out and cover up the TSM logo with a full piece of paper for 100 Thieves. I had a white one I was going to cover the TSM logo for NRG. So I think I did do it backwards, though. I should have had it written backwards, right? Or
No,
is this
no,
work?
it comes across the right way.
Okay, it
It's
is
not
fine.
like
Okay.
mine's backwards, but that's because I didn't flip the camera.
Okay, good. Good deal. Yes, I think, and a lot of what you said too, like you were saying some things how NRG doesn't have a fan who really like is one of those like in the weeds fans, doing podcasts or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's probably a good thing to join. One, it's hard not to join a team that is the champion. Like these jump on bandwagons. They're also not named Cloud9 or TL, and both of them suck. So that made it pretty easy. And their ownership group, like, I like a lot. I enjoy them a lot. I think Andy Miller wants to win really bad. And a lot of what you said in the promo was very true. I think he cares a lot about winning, and I enjoy Sapnap a lot. So that's kind of what put me there. Now, I will say, I realize there's a lot of walking back on every player on the roster.
Yeah. Wait, hang on. I just thought about this. So you're an NRG fan now. You
Uh-huh.
spent years
Uh-huh.
shitting on Dokla,
Yeah,
and now you have to
yeah.
stand by his side
Which I
this
know.
entire split without
Uh-huh.
wavering, ever.
Yeah, yeah. It's easy. He's on my team now. Doesn't matter.
Oh my god.
Like, it's just that simple. I hated Philip Rivers my whole childhood. And the second he was a Colt, took me 0 seconds to go, yeah, you should trash talk those people. They suck. That was my instant change. Like, it doesn't even matter. Also, weird side note, when I was going through both teams, I was going through sponsors. I was
Oh,
going through like who they are. Did you know NRG is sponsored by
yes,
the
by
Army
the
National
Army and
Guard?
Army National Guard. Yep.
So that made it kind of better too.
It's funny because you're the only person that I know that sees that National Guard sponsorship in esports and is like, that's my home. That's my
Yeah,
people.
no,
Whereas
really, I
everybody
was
else
like,
sees it as like, oh, army money and recruiting coming into esports. Oh
yeah.
no. Meanwhile, you're over
I
here
mean,
like,
I
hey,
loved
hey, brother.
I loved it. I saw it and I was like, oh, sick. I also thought about writing out the sponsors on my arms, but I didn't have
That
the
might be a little bit
energy.
too chill.
Yeah, I was like, that's too much work. I just threw this together, and I do, in some ways, it did feel awkward picking a team that's won, but my brother was also picking with me, so that was a big part of the decision making.
Yeah.
Like, him and I were both trying to pick a team that we could watch for a while, and another thing that kind of did tilt me was 100 Thieves rumors about them leaving this split. Like,
Yeah. No,
I'm
I
doing this
completely
right
get that.
now. And when you're doing this right now and you're trying to pick a team, you're not like, who am I picking so I can pick again in
Yep.
a year or two? You're kind of like, okay, I need to pick somebody who I think is going to be here for a while. So, which I know is kind of ironic. I picked the team that's left before. So,
Well, I will put this out there into the ether as well. If Andy or Jamie or anybody from NRG were to see this, if there's anything I can do to get Paul a jersey, I'm not asking for it for myself. No, I'm not asking for anything that I can do. But if there's anything you want me to do to get him a jersey, you let me know and I'll get it done.
I can probably buy. I just didn't buy one because I was still deciding.
I mean, that's fine. I'm just saying. if I can pull any strings to
Mhm.
to help you out at all, like I know you're probably gonna end up buying something on your own. I'm well aware of that, but like
True, true.
I don't know. I remember back when like the TSM My Hero Academia thing came out. Like I kept
Mhm.
the for those that don't know, TSM sent me one to like unbox and show on
Yep.
content stuff like that. I kept the hoodie and one of the shirts, and then I sent the rest over to Paul to split with his brother. It was like keycaps, mouse pad, and like a few other
Yep.
things that like
Which
I
I gave all to him because he's a huge My Hero fan and TSM, so he loved it.
so I'll see if I can pull any strings and get some so that you don't have to have a piece of paper taped onto your chest every time.
Every episode. Honestly, I might keep doing this because it's kind of funny.
I oh god.
I think it's hilarious. Like,
Are
it
you
does suck. What?
I was gonna say, are you down to live view the games with me this
I
split?
was gonna say that kind of. I will be able to Sunday, but Saturday
Oh,
I
Saturday. No,
will
Saturday I
be
can't
at
because I'm at anytime I'm at the bar.
perfect.
I'm gonna live view it on Twitch, and
Okay.
like use my phone and stream it from there and like our thing from the bar. Please do not run the vacuum right now.
I got salt on the floor for the dogs. I'm literally doing it for 2 seconds so they don't lick it. Oh.
All right, Paul, go ahead and talk.
How is she running the vacuum? Yeah, Saturday I'm gonna be busy with some of my friends, but Sunday I would like to live view. It also will be a very easy game for me to live view. It's NRG versus Dig, so I can really get my live viewing startup in, and I don't have to even worry. I'm just gonna come in and be like, "Yep, they killed him. See you, boys. Good luck." So that's gonna be a lot better. I will say the Saturday game, like I'm gonna do everything I can to watch it with my buddies, but they want to play D&D, so it's gonna be pretty hard to have it on in the background. I think I'm just gonna play it, mute it, and then leave it on just so I get the view count and
That
bump up in our.
that was well not for the view count, but that was me during the Lions game this past week. Emily had friends over on Sunday night, and like
Yo,
they're all chilling, hanging out, and I just got the Lions game on the in my phone. It's sitting in the corner, and they're
yeah,
all we had three guys and like 5 or 6 girls, and like all the guys would look over to me every like 5 minutes, be like, "Score, score, what's the score?"
yeah.
I was like, they're up by 3. And then what like whenever it was over, it was like, guys, I have an announcement. And the girls were like, oh my god, what? I was like, for the first time in 31 years, like, what? The Lions have won a playoff game. All the girls roll their eyes, and the dudes are like, yeah, let's go.
Making sure it's not slipping through.
No,
Just
you're
been
good.
worried for a second. But that is facts. Like that game was so good.
It was.
That game was so good.
My
But
boss
it's
at work is starting to get into football, and she's a 49ers fan. I forget how she said by proxy, but I think she got like friends out in San Francisco. Also,
good for her.
but she's like going out and buying merch and all this sort of like she's like asking us at
Mhm,
work like questions about like the NFL and stuff like that. Like we're teaching her like the basics of the season, like
mhm.
why the Eagles collapse type thing. Like it's been fun.
Dang, that's crazy. Yeah, it's been it's been fun getting into something new. It's been different. A big part of it too is my brother and Valorant
Oh,
because he was picking.
is he picking NRG for Valorant too?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I thought he was a
So
Sentinels fan.
he likes Sen still, but he's also like he said he wanted a second team because he views Sentinels as basically dying, and he's
Really?
worried they're
Wow.
going to die. They're not. Their finances are fine. He just doesn't want it to happen twice.
Yeah.
So
So
he
he
was
has a
like,
backup.
yeah, he was like, you can get it back up with them. But in general, um, I hope they win again.
Let
'Cause it's
me
gonna look real awkward if I joined a team that won it all and they don't.
let me ask you this though. This is a fun little trivia question for you.
Mhm.
Do you remember why we named this the crossover podcast?
Yes, because it was supposed to be us watching NRG's entry into Vietnam. And, well, not watching, but talking about getting fans of and doing all this stuff for the Vietnamese. Wasn't it NRG and GAM?
Yep.
Yeah, merger. And then COVID happened. And
And we said that. I mean, the biggest thing I said was that NRG will be in the LCS. It's just a matter of when.
Yep.
And this was this was a little bit after I'd already picked 100 Thieves for like my LCS team.
Yep.
But like NRG and Optic were together, and like I was prepping for the NRG Optic merged group to come over to the LCS, in which if Hex is there, I'm there. So in a world
Yep.
where Hex doesn't leave NRG and like Optic and NRG are together, I'm an NRG fan right now instead of 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
Like that is
Actually.
a very like clear cut path. But now obviously Hex separated back, got the Optic brand back, and was like doing his own thing.
Yep.
But yeah, the origins of this podcast were not for me. They turned out to be for you to become an NRG fan in the LCS because we knew this was coming at a certain period of
Yeah.
time, and it all worked out.
The darkest timeline of all time. I slowly watched my favorite team in LCS crumble. Just truly wonderful. So thankful this happened. Loved slowly watching my owner become just a psychopath, like constant, just bad ownership Dan Snyder esque, so he could kill my team. That was pretty great. That was a big thing with picking too. I was like, I gotta pick an owner that like I trust, because honestly, Jack like has those TSM origins,
Yeah.
so it kind of made me want to go Cloud9. But at the same time, how can you cheer for Cloud9 as a TSM fan? Just doesn't feel right.
No, I
Like
never
to me,
thought you would pick TL or C9. That was never
yeah.
like a worry in my eyes.
And but I love Steve and Jack. Like a lot of things that they have from the olden days have made me love them. And then like it's not hard to love Nate Shot or Andy Miller. Like it's just not. They're very competitive people who want to win.
I mean,
So
I'll be honest. Like as much as I like love Nate Shot and love John Robinson, like Andy Miller is my favorite owner in the LCS,
yeah,
bar none. I've
yeah,
been very honest with that for a long period of time now. That I just think
yeah,
his experience at Apple and like working under Steve Jobs is something that like nobody else has here, and we don't have any other owners that are like a Rick Fox type. That granted, Andy's not as like out and on camera as Rick Fox was, because Rick Fox has that celebrity status like from like actually playing
yeah,
basketball alongside Shaq and everything else. But like Andy Miller has the sports ownership experience of like knowing how it works, knowing how the tier 2 ecosystem develops because he owns a double A baseball team, and then having the Sacramento Kings and knowing how the sports model works. And like I would love to be a fly on the wall in those LCS owners meetings when he's
yes,
talking, because I know like they start talking about media rights, and I guarantee like he's just looking at me like he is 5 steps ahead of everybody else. Like Jack and Steve
yeah,
might know esports better, sure, but like nobody is able to bridge that gap better than he is.
yep. And it was a big part of it. I mean, because there's a lot of difficulty in picking players wise. Like
Yeah.
one team has guys who just won a title, but I'm like sitting here going, I'm not sure. Like, well, now they're my team, so I shouldn't say it in a way, but I'm not sure if they can repeat it. Like, repeating championships is super hard. So, like, picking a team that's won it all, while sounds genius in theory, and like you're joining a bandwagon, LCS is definitely not the NFL. Like, the game changes a lot, the patch changed everything. Guys can go from being the best to being like third best instantly. But and then also you have 100 Thieves who has like this really young roster that really has me interested, and I wanted to dive into it kind of, but at the same time I was like, I just feel like you I already know you as a 100 Thieves fan. I know plenty of people who enjoy 100 Thieves. I
Yeah.
didn't feel like I needed to keep joining everybody, which
Yeah.
it would be fun, but there's a lot of 100 Thieves people in the world.
Yeah,
Like
that's fair.
I think there's plenty of people who are cheering for 100 Thieves. And as much as I would love to join a group again that has just all the people I talk to normally that are for them, I also wanted to be kind of a fan of something, that
Yep.
was its own thing.
Damn.
And the fact, like, he's a really good, yeah, he's just a very good owner.
Uh,
Hard to
I'm
not love what we heard.
I'm not gonna lie. I originally had this in part of the promo, but I cut it out because I didn't want it to come off like bias of like me showing what I wanted. I was
Yeah.
hoping you were gonna pick NRG personally,
Mhm.
not 100 Thieves, simply because it's not that I don't mind splitting 100 Thieves. Like obviously the more 100 Thieves fans the better.
Yeah.
I like my favorite part about like the TSM versus 100 Thieves stuff was like the back and forth that we would have and like openly shitting on each other's players and like everybody else
Yeah.
that came with it. And it's like I need to step up my shit talk game to be able to compete with your level because now I know that if I say anything against NRG, it's not just you that I have to worry about coming back at me. It's that the
Yeah.
NRG League Twitter or Andy or somebody else will
Yeah.
come back and go at me just as hard, if not harder than you will. So like
Yup.
I have to step up my level of insults and everything else 20-fold to be able to compete at all because like last year was just like I don't know, it was kicking a kid while they're down, like
Yeah.
it was beating up on the easy stuff, but like now shit just got a lot
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah. Instead of you being able to go like, oh, your owner abused his employees, you have to actually find something to get me on. It's like you can't just give me all the easy stuff, which is
Oh man.
kind of nice, you know? It's like it's just a good feeling. And that was a big thing of joining them. Like knowing you're getting to a nice org, knowing they still have 7 staffs on their coaching,
Yep.
like that was pretty nice. That's a pretty big coaching staff. So that kind of had me buying in. I guess they also have a director of like league operations, so it's really 8 people. Like, but I don't know what he does if it involves like game development or not. But I know there's 7 people like dedicated to the idea of making them better, which was very helpful in joining them. Also, I've loved FBI like the whole time he's in the league. So
Yeah, he was one of ours for the longest time, so
yeah,
you're
and he
welcome.
was frustrating to watch my teams play against. So moving to FBI was very nice. Like he's very good at the game. So that is enjoyable. I will have to eat my words on what I've said about Dokla. And I apologize. I never believed in him at any time, but now I do.
Well, I
So
mean, now's a good time then to transition to this.
true.
Let me just I need to do something real quick.
Oh, where did I?
I
Oh
already I
man,
already did it. I got you.
I
And
know, but now I'm wondering where did I put?
uh
Also, did my fix help you at all?
yeah,
Was it the
yeah,
right
it did.
names? It was
Let me
perfect.
pull up OBS. Okay. I'm going to change how we look.
Okay,
And I
okay.
am going to do this.
Am I allowed to spoil it a little bit? What I put?
You can if you want.
Well, I guess I won't spoil. I'll just say because you know where I put things.
Yeah.
I almost let a bit of my fan bias take over the jungle one pretty quick.
Really?
Yeah, I almost let it happen, but I decided to reel it back because I was like, I'll wait. I'll wait. But
All right. So
it's not
I've
fully
got
on yet.
Photoshop open.
Oh, okay. You're starting with sport.
Yeah. So I will move this around. Ooh, no, I want to move the box. Hang on. Let me put the panel there. So my ranking is on top. Paul is down below for context. And we'll start with support. And we'll slowly work our way over and then go from support, bot lane, mid, jungle, top to then our
Mhm.
power rankings. And that will be the final thing. Uh, I mean, for the most part, I think we're pretty much in line. Except you have Zazel way low.
Yeah,
Any
I
reason
did not
why?
realize people had him that high. Uh, my main reason for having him under Ayla is I think Ayla's underrated. I don't think Ayla is like actually that much worse than Zazel, and it's been a while since we've seen Zazel in pro play, and also like supports and ADCs, you kind of have to take into account who they're with.
Fair.
So I'm not super confident in their bottom lane as a whole. So
So
I
you're
put
not you
him.
don't like what's his
No,
name?
no.
Uh,
I
who-
was not sold on Bvoy at all,
yeah.
or have not been yet. Now, there's always time can change, and these power rankings could be wrong. But I think Ayla is fine. Olay got number one in Korean solo queue, and that's enough for me to give you at least, third from the bottom. So I gave him that, and I put Zazel there because it's been a while since I've seen Zazel really. And what I saw in this guy's toast thing, he did look really good. He
Yeah.
looked fine, so he didn't get last. But yeah, he kind of went down there. And then I put Vulcan under Busio, which I wasn't sure if it would make people mad or not because
I think that's kind of fair. I mean, if you're just going based on last year, Busio was a better support than Vulcan.
in the average had Vulcan as number one, which shocked me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, so when I was originally doing my support list, I had Vulcan at like 2, but then I sat there and was like he didn't play well at all last
No.
year. And it's not like he didn't have good pieces around him. He did. Now, we don't know why that was the case. We don't know if he's going to rebound. But he doesn't have to do much this year. And I don't
No.
think that's enough to bump you up to 2. I think Core JJ, like the way I viewed my power rankings was like, where do I see these people by the end of the split? Like
Yeah.
whenever the trophy has been raised, how would we rank them? Not just regular season. I can't stand regular season only awards, but it is what it is. I just think Core JJ with a full another year with this roster, this will be the first time that at least with this bot lane, will be the first time that he's had like a returning bot lane like this since Tactical. But Tactical was he returned 2020, 2021 was the first time. And
Yeah, it
Tactical
was
had
a
a
while.
pretty severe fall off. Whereas I think, and this will be shown in my ADC rankings, I think that Ayla will improve. And I think alongside that, so will Core JJ. And because of
Yeah.
that, I bump him up to 2.
You meant Jan?
Or Yon, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I was just making sure. And then, yeah, I think with Vulcan, because I was saying I took the whole bottom lane into perspective, and people get confused with the Vulcan one. It's like, I get he's probably going to end up being look like a number one type support. By the end of the year, it could because he has Berserker, but we'll see how much we attribute that to him and where his play is at. Because realistically, like, the way a lot of C9 plays and the way a lot of people go in crazily, they could bail him out of some imp plays. Like Blabber is very good at boosting his support's ability and making them look good and covering for a bad support.
It's
So
interesting, though, because Jat on the JLXP today talked about how Blabber does a really bad job of enabling his mid laners. He's never had to
really,
think what mid laner has Blabber ever made look incredible?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I guess Jensen just looked good because he had been in the league so long, and then Jensen looked terrible, like when Blabber became full time starter, right?
Yeah.
Or a
And then
little before
it went to Niski.
Perks.
And I
Oh,
think
Niski, you're
I
right.
think Niski enabled Blabber more than Blabber enabled Niski, personally.
Probably, yeah.
Just based on his playstyle. Like we've seen
Mhm.
enough from Niski over years' time to like really put it into perspective that I think that did impact him more. After that, you had
Perks.
Perks. The Perks Blabber combo was never great in my mind. I don't
No.
think that either one of them like ever like really outdid themselves. I think they would have gotten beat by TL had Santorin not had his issues that spring,
Yeah.
2020 spring, or 2021 spring. Yeah, 2021
Something
spring.
like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
because then summer we won, uh, and then Who was after that? 2022 was
Wasn't it Jensen?
Jensen, yeah, because they then swapped Fudge to mid lane, which that was a whole fiasco. Uh,
Yeah, that didn't.
Fudge didn't work out
Well,
all
it
that
kind of
well.
worked, kind of didn't.
Jensen didn't look phenomenal
Yeah.
when he was on C9. Like they just had star-studded players with Berserker that
Yep.
popped off, and then this past year with Eminez and Diplex, I mean, I think Eminez popped off on his own right and then threw it away on his own right. Like I wouldn't say that Blabber like really facilitated it all that much, or like he definitely didn't negate the negatives. That's for sure.
Mhm. Then I wonder, do people think he makes a support look worse or better?
I
I
don't know.
mean, he
I'd have to
hasn't
look
really
more.
had too much variance there, has he?
No,
It's
I
been
mean,
Vulcan and Sven for like the whole time.
yeah, that's all it's ever been. So
So yeah, I'm not worried about that.
no,
And they both looked fine. Vulcan just had a very sudden drop off last year. Like, even us putting him at 3 and 4th is a respect to his old him
oh yeah,
and
because
what we
real
know he can do.
if you're basing it off of last year, you
Yeah.
put him last technically.
Yeah,
Which
you probably put him above Ole, Zazel, Isles, right?
yeah, but you definitely Ayla is ahead of him, Busio's ahead of him, or
Yeah.
Core's ahead of him, and who he's ahead of him. And that if you're basing it off of last year, which it
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise. Hey, there's a world where that happens. You never
Yeah,
know.
there is.
I will
I mean,
say
they could be looking for support by the end of the year.
true. I will say the thing that kind of impressed me when I look at like this year's like group of supports and like everybody that's on here, granted, you know, we're down to 8 instead of 10.
Yeah.
Huhi, Core JJ, Ayla, and Zazel. 4 of 8. Very well known and vocally known to be this in the community. Shot calling supports.
Yeah. True.
I would love a world where all 4 of them finish like towards the top.
Mhm.
And like it really starts to put value on the shot callers of the game.
Yeah. I mean, it'll probably change a lot.
Maybe.
Like, especially with this group. And the fact we're down to 8 now. Like, you can't really, with 8 teams, you can't afford to have mediocre anything.
No.
It makes it a lot harder. The games matter a lot more. You only have about 2 teams probably every split now that are a guaranteed win. And who knows who those 2 will end up being. But there's only 2. Like, that FlyQuest collapse would have been just a little bit quicker under an 8-team league, and it would have been way more awkward last year.
Oh yeah, it would have
Like,
been exponentially worse.
yeah. So you even have less time to figure it out. Well, you don't because we're taking breaks, but you gotta like you don't have as many stage games, which does matter.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
That was terrifying looking at the schedule. And we'll get it. I want to save that conversation for whenever
Yeah,
we get
yeah.
into the team power rankings.
yeah,
But anything else you want to talk about on support? Anything else that you
Nope.
think we missed?
I think we've covered them all.
All right. To the ADCs. Wow. So I threw a wrench into all of it.
I
Look,
mean,
people are gonna get on me for this for tactical being so high at 4, but I think he played incredibly well last split. Like really, really well on an immortal squad that was not great, and like Treats barely had hands by the end of the split. Like there were so many bad plays from Treats that whether that covered up, tactical mistakes, maybe, but if Ole has hands and tactical is performing at the level that he is or was at the end of summer, there's a world where he's a top 4 ADC in this league. Easily.
yeah. I mean, there is. And with Ole, it does help a lot. It fixes a lot of his issues. Man, I did not realize mine were exact replicas. Okay, I didn't mean to make it
Your
bad.
bottom 4 was
Yeah.
the ADC support
Yeah.
match.
That's my bad.
But I mean, it makes sense though, because like a lot of them are kind of
Yeah.
question marks.
Yeah, I really may have overranked Masu. Like, I could be way off on this, but I just really have fallen in love with the way he plays the game, and I think him and Busio together are very good compliments. so it kind of made me fall in love there. And then having Inspired, I feel like can make you look really good.
Yeah.
He does a good job at helping his laners out all the time. But I mean, Berserker's just clear number one. FBI is clear number two. There's really no debating there. Like, honestly, the biggest debate would be, are they interchangeable? And that would be where people have to debate. But after last year, they are interchangeable. Who knows where it'll be after this year? Like, I would say it's still like, if I had to fantasy draft today, like redraft to build a real team, I'd probably still take Berserker 101.
Yeah. I think
Like,
so.
so that's why I think he's still number one and edging out FBI. And then you obviously love Jan, so what is your
My philosophy on these is not
Mhm.
where players are at now.
Yeah.
It is where they're going to be at by the end of spring.
Mhm.
And the sophomore slump is a very real thing in sports and esports. People tend to forget that like rookies that come in and have a great year, they tend to slump a lot. Even though Jan got rookie of the split or rookie of the year last year, I think most people agree that he had like a lot of room to grow. Like there were a lot of kind of iffy moments where like he just didn't step up, wasn't vocal, like lacked confidence, and just I don't know,
Mhm.
it felt a little bit iffy. I think TL this year, now that they've got Umti, who I believe is fluent in English, Impact is
He is.
like this roster becomes a little bit more cohesive. I think he gains confidence, and I think
Mhm.
they step up massively, which is why like if I'm bumping Core JJ up the second, whenever Core JJ was not the second best support in the league last split, uh, I think Young goes up with that, and I think their
Yeah.
aggression early is going to be a problem for some of these lanes, including Berserker and FBI. I think Berserker is like the best. Berserker is the best mid lane or the best late game carry ADC in the league, bar none.
Mhm.
Berserker will win you games from 25 minutes on. I think from 0 minutes to 10 minutes, uh, Yawn is the best ADC in the league in lane. Like him and Gore JJ can be dominant, and were dominant at times early on already. It's just later that it got a little
Yeah.
bit iffy. And then FBI is like that perfect like middle ground. He's the Mario of everything. He's typically pretty consistent. Doesn't isn't like great in any particular area. Just is a good stat check person.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying there. Like Meech, Tomo, Bevoy are probably the ones that we just need to see on the Rift, so they're kind of more of a throw a dart and
Yeah,
hope it lands somewhere in the realm. Uh, I ranked tactical probably lower than most people would, because from when I was looking at the averages, it seemed like people are a little higher on tactical than I was,
yeah,
and that's okay. I mean, I have a bit of bias there, and I accept it. Uh, I didn't really put him there because I'm like, ah, this guy stinks. It was more just like I haven't seen Immortals
yeah. You
do
you
great
lack the
yet.
faith in the org, which
Yeah,
translates to the
and
player.
so it's just kind of how it is. Like, I think by the end of the year, I could see a world where people are like, "Oh, Meech and Ayla were better than Tactical and Ole in lane."
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I agree. Meech, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit scared. The scrim
for
rumor
sure.
that was passed along to me that 100 Thieves was getting kind of rocked in scrims scared me a little bit. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't like for the longest time I was saying that 100 Thieves could possibly like squeak out a fourth. I think I'm like calmly back in like the camp of like these are our realistic expectations. Meech is a new
yeah.
ADC to the league. Like, gotta give him time. I forget how old is Meech. Isn't he young?
I don't know. I get him and Tomo mixed up a lot, dude.
Nah, Meech is 22, but he's making his
That's
premiere.
young. That's young enough.
I mean, it's young, but like whenever
Yeah,
the problem is when you have the 17-year-old on the team,
yeah, I get it.
it's like
I
damn,
get it.
I'm old as
I mean,
shit. I'm making my premiere.
that was what was making me laugh. Was when I was looking at NRG, I was like, dude, am I cheering for a team that's too old? And then I look him up and I'm like, this guy's younger than me. This guy's younger than me. This guy's younger than me. And Doak was my age. I was like, no, Paul, they're fine. And I just moved on. I was like, not a single one of them except I think Hookie's the only one who's older than me. And I'm 26 for anybody at home. So I was like, no, these guys are fine. Like, I think there's a clear world where you can play League of Legends pretty well into your 30s.
Yeah,
Like Double Lift did it. And Faker's going to do it. So there are plenty of guys who can. I get
absolutely.
there's a lot of young prodigies as well that absolutely pop off, but your wrists don't just fall off unless, well, some do,
Some
but
do.
modern medicine, as some would say,
And
has
modern
gotten a lot better.
workouts. We're no
Yeah,
longer degenning 16 hours at the computer without
yeah,
going to the gym. So, like
that's
the
true.
average lifespan of a pro player is going to be longer than it was
Yeah,
before. So that's good.
for sure. And so, yeah, like, I think 22 is fine. You can still get at least 6 to 8 years if he pans
Yeah.
out
Agree.
of a player.
Anything else you
So,
want to touch on with ADCs before we go to mid? I think mid is the
no.
weakest role out of them all, from what I was looking at.
Yeah, more than likely. It honestly wasn't the one I think I struggled with too much. I feel like mid, I kind of like, at first I was getting like, what do I do with these guys? And then I just started placing them and I was like, that was fast. It's like,
I
so,
see your NRG bias is coming in hot and heavy
hey,
already.
there were two spots where you can say I was getting biased. And one of them, I didn't let the bias take over. I cut out the voices, but this one I couldn't. This one I couldn't. I don't know why. I was just like, I can see a world where he's the best mid laner in the league.
I don't.
I know everybody
I
loves JoJo, so he's clear, concise number one.
I I just think JoJo's playing cracked out of his mind the last year, despite being like in jail the entire time.
Yeah,
So I'm really curious if JoJo Pune doesn't have an amazing year. Like I'm not talking MVP caliber. Like obviously,
yeah,
I think it's going to be very hard for anybody on C9 to win MVP, given the nature of the roster. But I just find it hard to believe that he's not going to have a good year.
no, the League of Legends loves giving MVP to the first place team.
Not I.
Okay,
I've
yeah,
gotten in trouble for that.
not you, but like the community loves doing it. They
Fair.
just eat it up. Now I know everyone's going JoJo, but didn't last spring. I felt like there was a point where everyone was like, "Dude, has he fallen off?" There was that tiny sliver of like the
Yeah,
first 3 weeks.
yeah, because the EG roster kind of fell apart.
Yeah,
Like everybody kind of fell apart, and like there was clear issues with like communication and everything else.
yeah,
And then the second like pieces move on, it's like yeah, he's got worse pieces around him, but now he's
yep.
just popping off,
And then
and
he
it's like
started playing insane. I
yeah.
get it.
I mean,
And
there's
that was the thing, though. I was like, I could see Pala edging him out.
yeah. My thing, Palafox, if he maintains his Worlds form, I mean, JoJo wasn't even at Worlds, so it's like
Yeah.
I can't even compare that. But like, because JoJo was playing well even into the playoffs whenever they lost. Like, it wasn't his fault that they lost.
Mhm.
I sure there's a world where Palafox can be the best mid in the league. I just don't see it personally. I just think JoJo's got it. The one that has me
Yeah.
interested though, we both have APA third, which I think is fair given how he performed, but there could be a sophomore slump involved potentially.
Mhm.
You've got Insanity really high. Or no, I've got Insanity really high relative to
Yeah.
you.
I am. I watched Insanity enough last year now that he's. I'm not contractually obligated as a fan to put on rose colored glasses. There are a lot of moments where he loses you a game and you get very frustrated. And when you take off the glasses of, oh, he excites me because he's an NA player and NA players get me going. Like, you can see very clear times where he looks kind of lost on the map and or he dies at bad times and it can really hurt a team, especially when you're the mid laner. Like, it's the most important role. I think his
Yeah.
laning is perfectly fine. I'm not worried about his laning. Uh Jensen I didn't even really want to put there. Honestly, Jensen quit an Insanity are just ordered the way they are just because of how life is. I could not pick where to put any three of them.
Yeah.
And like I said, it came together rather quick. I just was like, and I just started clicking. So, because I was like, I don't know what to do with you three. And Dove and Mask are only where they're at because I haven't really seen them. And when
Yeah,
I
same.
looked up their Ligapedias, neither of them has really done much in any region they've been in. They haven't done well. Like, IG was one of the worst teams in LPL, and I think it was Dove got like benched over
Yep.
there. So
He did.
I don't really know what you do. And then Quid, I think, just was the victim of roster issues.
Yeah.
I don't really think he's that bad.
Kangas, I was talking to the guys with the LFL group. They talked to Kangas about like Champions Queue and everything else. He said be weary of Quid and going up against him because he looks fantastic
Yeah.
in Champions Queue, which is bringing me hope. Because if Quid pops off, the amount of people that are going to have to do 180s on, all the shit that they're giving him whenever, hey, maybe it was just like him slotting into a really bad system.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And that's what made me put him above Insanity because I think his ceiling is higher than his. And then Jensen, I think, on a real roster is going to be a lot better. Like, on a roster that is able to compete and kind of plays a weird style that lets him play what he normally plays.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, my biggest question mark for them is just, is there going to be too many cooks in the kitchen?
that is very true.
That's what I'm worried about with the FlyQuest roster. Like,
Yeah.
sure, you have great pieces with like Busio, Masu, Jensen. Inspired's returning as like one of the best
Yeah.
players in the league. Like, you've got insane talent there, and Whippo as well. But you have a team that I can see having a similar mental collapse to last year, but not in like the oh I'm homesick way, like in the wow we can't get on the same page and we don't know how to communicate and it's causing a problem way.
Yeah, that's true.
And that scares me for this flight, especially after last year. And I think the thing you have to worry about, like, not. I guess I'll compare this to, like, Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys. Like, apparently the Cowboys are keeping Mike McCarthy on again
Yep.
next year. I don't think, like, if Papa Smithy and them have like another really bad one, it's like, okay, sure, you're getting these great players, but like you're clearly like not taking into account how people communicate.
Yeah.
And like there's an issue to be had there. Is that going to happen? No. I can see there's a world where FlyQuest clicks and wins the split. But
Yep.
there's also that downside that like last year, like it's always going to be in people's minds now. You're always going to look at FlyQuest and be like, they could choke this.
Yeah. And you're always going to be like, is the collapse coming? Same thing people do with C9 now.
Yeah.
Like in summer splits, everybody wonders is C9 going to get bored or not? And it's not because like C9 actually sucks or something. It's just because they do normally lose summers more often than springs. So it
Yep.
kind of just builds that bias, and there it is. But I don't know really what you do with FlyQuest if they lose with this roster too. It makes it difficult. It's gonna be a tough conversation to have, like in there. And you're right, like at some point, like because we like Papa Smithy, he likes you, and
I don't know if he likes me, but at minimum he tolerates me.
yeah, he tolerates you. And it just I don't want to say it, but there is a time that comes where if you keep losing, and especially if they have another collapse, yeah, that would be the end.
Yep.
I think of the experiment.
Any final notes on mid laners before we go to jungle?
Just really excited about APA this year.
Same.
Seeing if he takes a step forward.
I'm really curious. I would hate to see him slump. Like I would really hate to see him kind of fall off.
Sad.
Like in an ideal world, like what I want to see out of mid laners this year, I would like for Dove and Mass to come in and be towards the bottom of the league. Like that, I think that would be good for all of the talent that's currently here with Quid and us taking a chance on Quid's the type of guy that I would rather import than Dove or Mask, where it's a younger player who is getting their chance in the LCS. Jensen, you can do it. He's been here for a while. Like, I'm fine with him popping off. But like APA, I want him to keep performing well. Jojapyun and Palafox, like I want them to be good. Like, think about this. We've got 3 North American mids
Yeah.
ranked as our top 3.
Yeah.
I've got all 4 as my top 4. When was the last time that
Yeah,
ever
that's
happened?
Probably Bjerg kind of killed that and Jensen for a long time.
Exactly.
It's been a while, but it's also I honestly I wouldn't mind to see one of either Dove or Mask play well as well, and maybe Jensen fall down a couple spots. I think
Yeah.
Jensen's had his time. You know what I mean? He's been in the league long enough. It wouldn't be bad to see one of them work out. Like, I wouldn't hate it. I know that's not the vibe right now. Like, they just aren't.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but it's just like I just wanted to
Yeah.
prove that philosophy of importing wrong. Like that
Yeah.
and it's nothing against Dove or Mask. It's just against the ideology behind it.
I understand what you mean. I mean, it totally makes sense. Like, people want to see more NA mids pop off, and you want to see more NA mids get a shot. But
To be clear, it's not even. I don't care if it's all imports in mid.
Yeah.
But I just want it to be like either the best in the business imports that we're getting because we're attracting like top talent with our recruiting, like whenever Impact came over for TL, or I want it to be the Berserkers, the Quids, assuming Quid like performs well. You're getting them young and you're like actually giving them their chance, and like that is an import that like stays here for a long period of time because then they're ingrained in our culture. Like it's an early version of Bjergsen and Double Lift and like people like that.
yeah, and that's true. Like, that would be nice. Would be a nice version.
All right, we need to go to junglers.
Yep.
Oh, I know a lot of people actually disagree with us on this. I didn't look at your jungler list, so this is interesting. The fact that we match all the way down? We matched the entire way. Oh my god!
The whole thing. We matched the whole thing.
Wow.
Which it kind of hurt me. I wanted to put Boogie higher. I like Boogie a lot. I fell in love with him when he was on TSM. But I don't know. That roster doesn't give me the most confidence.
No, and jungle, like the top 5 or I'd say the top 4 guaranteed, probably top 5 with Umpty, just feels so strong.
Yeah.
Like Blabber, Inspired, Contracts, River are just like 4 incredible players.
So the spot where my struggle was, and I'm sure it's obvious, was up until I closed the list, literally the last change I made was moving Inspired over Contracts.
That makes sense.
I really wanted to put Contracts over Inspired, but knowing what Inspired was before he got, just didn't play for a year, I do think he can come back and be this by the end of the year. Like, if we're going by your metric of end of the year, like, I do think he could be back to number 2 jungler.
And Contracts also is up and down. Like, he had a hot streak at the end of this year, sure, but like there have always been periods of his where like that falls off a little bit. He's never been able to sustain it over his entire career, which realistically, if we're going based off of end of season last season, he's better than Blabber. He's better than Inspired. He should be clear number 1. I'm just expecting a downturn to happen, as has happened historically in his career.
Yep. Which I do think helps a lot is that NRG coaching staff. Like, they make a big difference, and there's a lot of them. It shocked me when I was reading about.
Yeah.
They have so much coaching, dude. It's crazy.
And they even downsized.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. But it's also like, I don't know how else you put a jungler thing. I know, is River the one that has everybody mad at us?
No, I think just most people had Inspired first. And
Oh, Inspired one
yeah. And
over
then
Blabber.
there was a very good YouTube comment chat that just came through, and he's like, controversial, but River was the best jungler last year. He gets slept on because of how they perform versus BDS. I think I don't even think it's just that. I think it's also their playoff performance,
Yeah.
and it's not even on him. It's entirely on the fall off of uh who's Golden Guardians mid laner last split.
Oh, Corey.
Gory. Gory's fall off was extreme. Like the worst fall off that I think I've ever seen from a mid laner in the LCS over the course of 1 year. So yeah, I think there's a very
Yeah.
valid case that he was number one, but I also think the pieces around River this year make it harder for us to put him above the other three. You look at the pieces
Yeah.
that NRG, FlagQuest, and Cloud9 are working with to start versus 100 Thieves, it's a night and day difference.
Yep. And it's it's one of those things where we know what River is and we know what he can be. So putting him where he's at, I think it's just fine.
Yeah.
And we don't really know Umti yet. We don't know too much what he can be. We know that he's probably talented. I feel like TL never really hires terrible players. Like
No,
it's
they
been a
definitely
while
don't.
since they've hired somebody bad. But and he's on a very talented team. So it was tough putting him there, especially with knowing where they're at. But I don't want to tease too much, but their top side is probably their more weaker part on most people's power rankings.
Yep.
So it made me comfortable to put him there and put River over him.
Agreed.
So
Anything else to say on junglers? I feel like we're pretty on point with our thoughts here.
yeah, I mean I think the bottom three are kind of obvious why they're where they are.
Yep.
Like Boogie is on a team that is interesting, but we don't know how it's going to end up being. And then the other two are just not really inspiring.
Yep.
So it is what it is.
All right.
That's all I got.
Top laners.
Yeah.
I will be entirely honest with you. I had Sniper last at first, and I was like, I can't put him last in good faith. I gotta put him 7, just because I think he'll be able to etch out somebody. And I just couldn't in theory do it to him and put him 8th. But
I I didn't I know it's gonna sound whack, but I think the amount of talent that NRG or C9 got to help them fix top lane is gonna help them, and I think Fudge does have quite a bit on his back. And I say whack because whack in the sense of people are probably like, well, now you're on their team and you already need to make up your love to Dokla. But it's just kind of how it is in the power ranking. I
Yep.
was like, I think Fudge could be there. And Dokla being at 2 doesn't mean I'm like, oh, Dokla still sucks. It's like he's second. I have him over everyone but one guy. And I'm sorry, there's not a ton of options. So it doesn't look as cool when you're second now because there's 2 less people to be above. But I think that's just how it is. I think they're both almost probably the most interchangeable
yeah,
of
I
any role.
I mean I would agree,
Yeah.
but I just have faith that the lessons that Dokla learned from Worlds will
Mhm.
carry over to North America,
I hope
where
so.
the tide was already starting to turn against Fudge, and I think Dokla was like finally learning how to play against him and beat him, both in
Yeah.
lane and in team fights. And I like Dokla's a grinder. The dude plays more than anybody else in the league, and he's one of
Yeah.
those guys that like, yeah, he makes a lot of mistakes, but like I always see him actively trying to fix them. Whether that
Yep.
works or not, beside the point. He's always trying to fix it. And I feel like it's going to be one of those where when Dokla finally becomes like the rightful top laner in the league, I feel like he'll have occasional blunders, but it's going to be very difficult for him to like give up that title.
Yeah.
And I feel like this will be the split where he crowns himself as the best top laner in the league. That's my prediction.
I mean, you're not gonna hear me complain if NRG ends up being all number ones.
Really? Your inner TSM doesn't want to come out and just brag him down a little bit?
Brag who down? What?
Or like
Brag who?
bring him down a little bit.
Dopa?
Yeah.
No. Not anymore. He's my guy.
You good?
We both know how it is. Like, the second I have a guy, it's kind of just over. It just is what it is. I just put Fudge there because I assume C9 is going to keep trying to get back to that dominate everybody mentality. And I don't think last year Fudge made me go like, oh, this dude sucks. Like, he wasn't perfect. Don't get me wrong.
He
And
didn't.
Dokla started to body bag him.
He didn't make me say that Fudge sucks, but
Yeah.
it made me say that yes, his weaknesses are a lot more identifiable from North American players and able to be exposed. And that I think is like the key point where I look at like Dokla and it's like where like his weaknesses are brought upon himself. They're not exposed by other people. 90% of the time his own like it's him overextending or like being a little too aggro in certain situations where it's like it's always caused by him. Very rarely do I remember many Dokla plays that off the top of my head that like were caused by him like really being out of position or just like passive in fights and scared to do stuff. Whereas like Fudge, like there's quite a few times where I remember like it just almost being trigger shy in a way. And just they lack that level of confidence that I think Dokla had in top lane.
Mhm.
So
Oh, and he's right. I forgot. Dokla was on TSM Academy at one point.
yeah.
That was why I think I was so hard on him after
Yep, because you
he
saw.
left. Because I'm always hard on TSM Academy players because I want them to be the best. So I'm hard on Tactical a lot because I really had high hopes for Tactical. But it's like, I don't know what you do in power rankings to have them perfect. Like, they're just so difficult because you're just trying not to full dump on people, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You're trying to like figure out where you think they are, and I do think like we both agree Blippo and Impact are probably Fudge Dokla are the top four.
Yeah.
The order of them seems pretty clear. There's two that are under the other two.
Yep.
And it's gonna be Dokla and Fudge. And then Blippo and Impact are gonna have to figure out where both of them are at by the end of the year.
Yep. Completely.
And then under them, it's just
it's whoever shows up.
there.
We have no clue. Fake God.
I have little faith in Fate God, to be honest, but
I've got
some people do.
I mean, he was better than Sniper when they played in Challenger together. So like by default, like I felt like I had to put Fake God over Sniper. So like the question is going to be how much quicker can Sniper ramp up? Because Fake God's been to this stage before, and granted, maybe he's a different player now, but like Sniper's never been here, and there's a chance that you have like, you know as damn well as I do, there's those quarterbacks that are decent in college and get bodied by some like the Heisman winners, like those that just succeed in that college level. Yes. And then you get to pro and it just clicks. And instantly, like Josh Allen, great example. Never a phenomenal quarterback prior to the pros. But then hits the pros, great. Still makes a lot of mistakes, but still great.
Yes.
I'm worried that Fake God will be the Tim Tebow of the LCS.
What, just never makes it, never finishes?
Fantastic academy player. One of the better ones to ever do it. Dominates academy this past year. Wins with Disguised Toast. Gets back up to the LCS. Doesn't do much. Doesn't improve all that much. Sits at like that 6th to 8th range that you could replace with somebody else if you truly wanted to. Or you look at importing. Whereas Sniper, it's like, yeah, sure, Fake God got the better of him. But the trajectory just goes up. And just keeps going and going and going.
Obviously, in my rankings, I'm not worried about Sniper at all because I have him at. I have him at
Is that actually true from chat?
What? Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers.
I think.
Whoa.
Let me see. Sorry, that's big breaking news in sports. If that's happened. James Yoder reported that Chargers interviewed Colts assistant general manager Ed Dodds for their GM position, and it would be a package deal with Jim Harbaugh. I haven't seen anything. No, there's nothing at all confirmed at all on this. So that was just kind of bait. All right, sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, back to League of Legos.
But yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with where we put top laners, I'd say. I think it's obvious where our tiers are.
Yeah.
Like, there's the top 4 tier and the bottom 4 tier. Honestly, top lane, looking at it, is probably one of the most, like, definitive 4 in 4.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
have.
Yeah.
Like, tier 1, tier 2.
It's pretty clear. It is very clear cut. The
Yeah.
top 4, bottom 4, which I like. I think it
Really,
proves
the
that,
hardest...
somebody has
What were
to
you saying,
break their
sorry?
way in. You have to literally fight your way up.
Because really thinking about it, like, the hardest thing to debate for me was Dokla and Fudge.
Yeah, agreed. Everything else was
Like,
very simple.
yeah. And I could be overrating Buppo, to be honest. I could be overrating all of FlyQuest. Like,
Yeah.
there's a good chance.
So, looking at this, you've got a higher aggregate score of Cloud9 players than NRG. It's time for the reveal, though. Who do you have
Pretty
winning
sure
the
I
split?
put C9 top, right?
Yes, you have C9 winning the split, as do I.
Okay.
Where do we differ at here? Immortals,
Liquid and
Dignitas, we have
FlyQuest.
7th, 8th. I think those are both interchangeable. We have 100 Thieves,
'Cause
Shopify interchangeable.
we still get 2 teams to MSI, right?
Yes.
That's why I didn't even need to worry about it.
So you think, like, you are convinced Cloud9 and NRG are the top 2 teams in the league. Do you think FlyQuest and TL have a chance of breaking in?
Yeah, 100%. Like, as much... So I think Cloud9 had to put them there because of last year in general as a whole. Cloud9's roster was really good out of the mid lane, and the only thing they did was make mid lane way better. But support is
Yeah, it's
and then NRG like just took a roster that won it all at the end of the year, figured it out at the end of the year, and then I would say upgraded in my
I
mind
would
at
say
support.
upgraded.
And that's just like, and especially if FBI is just done having problems with big crowds, and they might not even be playing a big crowd game this spring. Like, but the thing is, Cloud9 winning spring is just at this point, it's a
given until
it's like a
not.
thing.
Yeah.
It's like a biology offense. Like, I can't stop it. It's just in our DNA. It's woven in the fabric of LCS, and it's really not a huge deal if they even win. What is it? Spring, because why does it matter to me? I need NRG to win summer. Like, even getting first seed, really. Well, now it's a lot better. Actually, I take that back.
With the new
Now
format.
getting first seed is very nice in the new format.
Yeah.
So getting first seed's a big deal in summer. And I think this could be Cloud9 winning in spring again. I mean, they just do that a lot.
I'm
I'm defending myself a lot because I'm trying to not look like a loser in front of my new fandom.
I would say C9 probably does win spring. We'll have to see who develops in summer to see if there's anybody that stands a chance against them and the classic C9 fall off. I will say, given that C9 only changed a few pieces, I still... Okay, this is going to sound bad. It would be in the best interest of North America at international tournaments for somebody else to step up and beat Cloud9, not for C9 just to coast to that win. Because C9 every time they go international, it's the same thing for the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Barring when Perks was there for Worlds, and even then it was 2 and 4. It wasn't great. They were relying on somebody to collapse. 2022 and 2023, really bad international showings for Cloud9.
When's the last time they had a good Worlds?
2018. I don't 2021 was like great in theory. They made it to quarters, but it was not a feel good Worlds
Didn't they?
at all.
They get 3-0'd the next round,
Yeah.
and they only made it out of 2 and 4, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could argue NRG's wasn't great, but like NRG at least like looked competitive.
Well,
more
NRG
than
beat the first seed of EU.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge moment for us
Yep.
to get back in the trash talking game. Like,
And
we're not a laughing stock anymore.
And C9 lost to the 2 seed of Europe.
And technically, like, if you want to talk about seeding and how many teams you get to send to Worlds, NRG technically, and I know I am like sucking off my team right now, so I sound
That's
like
fine.
shill.
That's fine.
But they technically saved us from losing a spot at Worlds if Riot decided to go down that route.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we are still safe-ish
Yeah.
to having 4.
I ultimately, I don't really have much else to say on the standings. 100 Thieves, I think, and Shopify are right where people expect them to be. I agree with Trevor's point. And this isn't just an LCS problem. You see this in a lot of regions where fall off in summer is really bad. In spring, you don't have to worry about it as much because like everybody's still new. I think Spring Split is like the most entertaining in terms of like people actually like leveling up their performance. What I want for this year out of any is just I don't want that collapse to happen. I want us to feel like the best team truly won. And I don't feel like there's been that sentiment now for I mean, we had it 2022. But like Cloud9 was just head and shoulders above everybody in summer 2022. Like it was very clear cut. And same thing with 2021 as well. Like they were clearly better than everybody. Wait, or 20 who won 2022 spring? Was it C9? No. 2022 spring champions were who was it?
You're doing so many different. Ugh.
Because C9 collapsed. Oh, it was EG. I'm dumb. It was the JoJo Pune. Like, that's a roster that, like, stepped up and took the mantle in spring. But once again, collapses in summer. And C9, while granted they won in summer pretty convincingly, like, it didn't feel like anybody stepped up to challenge them.
Yeah, it was NRG, Cloud9 won spring. Yeah, EG won spring.
Yeah. When was the last time you remember an LCS finals being a team stepping up to, like, the top 2 teams in the region stepping up to each other's level and pushing each other above?
I guess the last one wasn't really that, but it felt like NRG played.
I think that was a C, like as good as NRG played.
C9
also collapsed. They 3-0'd NRG in the winners finals.
Yeah, that's true.
How do you go from 3-0ing to getting 1-3'd and looking horrible?
But NRG was also playing insane, and then kept playing it at Worlds. That's why I kind of feel like they get the benefit of the doubt.
That's fair. But my biggest thing is I just want C9 to push them.
But like that EG wasn't that EG spring? Like that was.
Yeah, 100th we rolled over and died in that finals. Yeah. Same thing with summer of 2022. We literally rolled over. We got 3-0'd in both finals that year. We literally rolled over and died twice.
I mean, 2020 wasn't really TSM becoming great.
No, that again another example of like everybody else like kind of like dropping to their level.
Maybe 2020 Cloud9.
Yeah, 2020 Cloud9 was like dominant. But again, that's my point. We haven't had a split where it's like the top 2 teams like pushing each other. I would say 2019 would be the only one where like C9 pushed TL, but then we both collapsed at Worlds. But like, because C9 had TL on the ropes,
Yeah.
and so did TSM. TSM had TL on the ropes as well, and was like pushing them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess it's been. I mean, you're never gonna have like. There's been a lot of iconic runs still. I feel
no,
like.
there have been, but I just want like that. What I want to see is I want everybody to feel good. Like when
Yeah.
G2 and Fnatic both went to Worlds in 2019. Granted, G2 was the best roster to ever come out of Europe, but like people don't give Fnatic enough credit for being so good at pushing G2 that entire year.
Mhm.
There was that constant ebb and flow back and forth. That's like I want to see that. I want to see these teams push each other, make each other better, develop that rivalry, like something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. It just is what it is, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, this year you could get that with if it really would be a big if NRG stays in form.
Yeah. If they stay
But
informed and C9
FlyQuest
steps
and
up, we're good.
TL look good too.
Yeah. I just want all that. Like, I don't care if one or two of them drop off and like fall
Yeah.
off a little bit. I just want two of them, whatever two we have at the top, push each other. Get like constantly feel like we're one upping each other at all times. But
Yeah.
any final words before we send it off? It's been an hour and almost an hour and a half. So
Really, just thank you to everyone who's been a part of me changing my team. Thank you to NRG for existing, and can't wait to win again. It's been a while since I've got to be a part of winning, and it's been annoying. I've hated losing, and it's nice to not be on a losing grind. I want to get back to being a winner. This past championship, while great for them, was not, what is it, great for me, not for thee. It was great for the me's of NRG, but I didn't get to really feel it because I was watching my team slowly
yep.
whittle away. So I'm hoping they can copy the magic, and the road to 7 begins. Stairway to 7.
Is that
We're
the
going
new,
with the Steelers.
Stairway to 7? Okay.
Yes.
I'm from a Pittsburgh family, so I've heard that more than enough times.
Holy, jinxing myself. There's no such thing as jinxing
No.
when you're the best, baby.
No, I don't believe
It
in
doesn't
jinxing it
exist.
either. You're either good enough to or
They're the
not.
best. Yeah. And they'll get 7. You guys wait. I'm gonna be old. I'm probably gonna have multiple kids by the time they tie TSM's titles. But I fully expect it, and that is the expectation of me joining anything.
Yep.
So,
Yep. That's it for us. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We will catch you next week. We will put our predictions out on Twitter. I know we didn't get around to it. We talked a little bit long on other things, but I will make sure Paul tweets out his weekly predictions, and we will keep a running aggregate score that we'll track on the show. So with that, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Let's go Thieves, and let's go NRG. Why not?
Yeah, I was gonna say, bless you, Palafox, and bless you, Tokla. I'm sorry for everything I've said. I take it all back.
Have a good one, guys.